Hello and welcome. This is Jenna from McGuire. I needed to create a handful of colorful cards for a very special cause. It's something that I'm hoping you'll join me in, and I'll talk about that in a moment. So to create these cards, I decided to break out my distress inks and do one of my favorite techniques, and it's one that anybody can do with what you have on hand. Before we jump into the cards, I want to talk a moment about the cause. My friend Kimberly from Hero Arts is working to collect very special books and handmade cards that will help folks who have recently lost a child to miscarriage. I know that many people have experienced this kind of loss, and it's really hard to get through. When Kimberly experienced it, she received a very special book that was helpful to her. So what she's doing is collecting money to buy a bunch of these books, and she's also collecting handmade cards to include with the book. Just a special, thoughtful card that says, "I'm thinking about you, I'm praying for you," just a bit of encouragement when somebody needs it the most. It's very simple to do. All you have to do is make a card and send it in. I have all the information over on my blog. She's calling her efforts Lasting Hearts, and I really hope you'll join us. So the folks at Simon Says Stamp and Hero Arts and I are joining Kimberly to help her in her efforts. And actually, the die and stamp set I'm using in this video today, Simon Says Stamp is selling it, and 25% of the profits go to help Lasting Hearts. So I'll talk about that in a moment. Okay, so let's dive into the cards. For this technique, you need distress ink. So I'm just taking some regular white cardstock. This is Nina white cardstock, and I am very generously covering this completely with distress ink. This is Abandoned Coral. You want this to be solid color. You don't want any white showing through. You just want to smear it on there as best as you can. Then you take a stencil, and you're just going to tape the stencil over it, as any stencil would work for this. This is a really easy technique. I'm putting this onto a cutting board just so it's easy to kind of pick up and move, and I don't get the paper on my desk wet. So I'm just using a little bit of micropore tape here. Masking tape would work, just to tape the stencil down. You want the stencil to be tight up against that background. Okay, so now I am going to spray on top of this. I am using some shimmer mist so that it has a little bit of shine when it dries. However, you can use plain water here or any kind of shimmer mist you may have. You can make your own shimmer mist by putting Perfect Pearls into water. But I'm just using this shimmer spray. This is wonderful stuff. I love this product. It gives a nice shimmer. Now I'm spraying that pretty generously over this stencil. I want to make sure to get all the open areas. And you'll see there's a little bit of shine on the stencil. So you want to spray it enough that everything's covered but not dripping. Now I'm taking a paper towel, just pressing over it, and then I will take the stencil off. Now you won't see much at first, but watch this. This is where the magic happens. As I zap this with my heat gun, it intensifies. And anywhere where that mist hit, it gives like this soft suede look that is just beautiful. This happens because when distress ink comes in contact with water or any kind of liquid, it reacts. So anywhere that spray hit, you get that soft look. Now let me do another example here. On this one, I'm not going to use that shimmer mist. I'm just going to use regular water just to prove that it does work with just plain water. So this is Mermaid Lagoon. I covered it solid. Put the stencil on top, and now I'm misting it pretty generously. You don't want this to drip again, but just have a nice even spray over it. So you can see it kind of glare there in the light. Now I'm just going to take my paper towel, press right over it, and that paper towel prevents any of it from kind of seeping underneath or dripping when you take the stencil off. I think it's really important to press with that paper towel first so it keeps a nice clean pattern. Okay, so after I've done this, I'm just going to go ahead and remove my stencil here, and you'll see the patterns there. It's not much at first, but again, you're going to zap this with your heat gun, and you get really cool, intense results. You can also let this air dry, but I really like the results when I heat it with the heat gun, so it's really intense. If you don't have stencils, you could die cut your own stencils, or you can spray some water onto a stamp and stamp that onto the distress inked background. Okay, I wanted to keep the rest of the card simple, and I wanted some die cut hearts and the word prayers, but I wanted dimension to it. So I'm going to die cut from craft foam instead of paper. So this is inexpensive white craft foam, and I'm going to put Stick It on the back of it so it has adhesive on the back. So this inexpensive white craft foam has a little bit of dimension to it. I'm putting it onto the Stick It product, so I'm just peeling off the release paper and pressing the foam onto it. This puts adhesive along the entire back of it. So when I die cut it, it'll already have the adhesive on the back. I really like the Stick It product because it is super thin, so it die cuts nicely. And also, it doesn't stick firmly until you press it down, so you can kind of move it around as you're creating. Okay, so now I have a piece of white craft foam with the adhesive on the back. You can buy craft foam with the adhesive already on the back, but I like the flexibility of being able to put mine own on. Okay, now for the sentiment. I used a stamp and die combo set from Simon Says Stamp and Hero Arts. It was a collaboration that they did in September, and it was a limited release and had sold out. Well, I talked to Heidi, and she said she'd bring it back and donate 25% of the profits to a special cause. So she's actually donating 25% of the profits to the Lasting Hearts to help buy books to go along with our cards. This is what the combo looks like. I really, really like the set, and it's great for a lot of different occasions and perfect for the cards that I'm making today. So I'm taking the prayers and I am die cutting it from the craft foam, and it has this sticky back facing down on my die cut plate. And I also have this little tiny heart die that is from another Hero Arts die set. I just wanted some little hearts to put down as accents. You could use bigger hearts if you want something that's easier to work with, or you could use some sequins if you wanted to. Okay, so I die cut a bunch of hearts and the word prayer several times. This craft foam flattens when it goes through the die cut machine, but it does pop back up. So we're going to have great, easy dimension on our cards. I like to keep my little die cut pieces in a bowl so I don't lose them on my desk. While I have my die cut machine out, I'm also going to die cut this heart from Simon Says Stamp from some vellum. I'm going to put this behind my sentiment, and it's a great way to kind of make my sentiment stand out against the busy background. Okay, so now I'm going to trim these down. They were 5.5 by 4.25, but I'm just going to take a little bit off the edges just to straighten the pattern out, and also so that a little white trim shows up when I put this onto a white note card. I'm using the new Tim Holtz trimmer. I really like this trimmer because it cuts through paper like butter. After adhering all of the backgrounds on white note cards, it's time to put our sentiment in the center. I am positioning the vellum heart so it's centered on the card, and I'm just putting a piece of tape there to tape it in place, just temporarily. Okay, so now I need to figure out where to do my white heat emboss sentiment. So I'm just laying my die cut piece down just to position it, and I'm taking the sentiment out of the matching stamp set. And by the way, the die and the stamp set do come together for this prayer set. I'm going to go ahead and put some anti-static powder tool down on my vellum because I'm going to be using white embossing powder. I want to make sure that I stamp my sentiment straight and in the right place. So I'm taking my T-ruler and putting that down, putting my prayers die cut where I think it's going to be, and now I'm going to take my stamp, and I'll take the stamp and actually put the stamp itself up against the T-ruler edge, and this ensures that I stamp it straight. So I stamp that with Versamark ink. And now I'm going to take the heart off and add my white embossing powder to it. Now, when heat embossing on vellum, you want to make sure that your heat gun gets good and hot before you bring it to the vellum, just to prevent any kind of warping. Now, with that temporary tape still on, I'm going to put it back onto the card. Now, the way I'm going to hold this vellum heart onto the card is with the die cut we're going to put on top. I want to make sure that I put my prayers die cut straight on the card, so I'm taking a thin piece of masking tape, any kind of tape would work here, and putting it on top of the die cut. Then I'm flipping the die cut over so that I can remove the release paper. This keeps the die cut like perfectly shaped as we take off the release paper and add it to our card. Now look how easy it is to add that with the help of the tape. So I'm going to straighten my card up with the grid in the background, and I can just use my tape to put it straight along the card, and once I have it where I want it, I can press it down. This is really helpful to use tape to put down long die cuts like this so that you can be sure that all the letters are straight and not wonky. It's a great way to help you out. Even if you're putting liquid adhesive on the back, this is really helpful. So now since this has the stick it on the back, all I have to do is press it down firmly and it will stick. Now I can remove that tape, and the edges of the prayer die are actually holding that vellum into place. Now I did want to add some little accents here, so I've got those little heart die cuts that I created before. I'm just going to scatter these around. You could use sequins instead if you wanted to. Now, if you feel like your vellum heart isn't going to stay secure with the help of the prayers die cut, you could lift up the vellum heart a little bit and put a tiny bit of strong liquid adhesive behind those little hearts, and that would help to hold it too. Now real quickly, I wanted to show you this again, where I put the tape along the front of the die cut and then I flip it over to remove the release paper. At this point, if you don't have sticky back to put on your craft foam, you could put the liquid adhesive on the back of it there, then pick up the whole die cut with the tape and place it where you need to on your card. This tape trick really helps. This is a narrow masking tape, which is very handy. I'll link to what I use, but you can use any kind of masking tape that you have. You could even cut your own thin strips. I completed all the cards in the same way, and I wanted to show you the shimmer that you get. So you see that shimmer in the background? I love the results of that, especially on this gray background. This is the Hickory Smoke Distress Ink. When we put that shimmer on it, it turns silver. That's my favorite of the cards. I also like this Abandoned Coral that you see on the left. The other colors I did, this is Mermaid Lagoon. That was with the water only. This one is the Dried Marigold, and last we have the Lilac. I also did a background with Blueprint Sketch, which is a bright royal blue, and that was one of my favorites too, but I needed to send that card right away, so I didn't get pictures for it. So there you have some simple techniques of a distress ink background with a water reaction, and also creating dimension with craft foam for die cuts. I hope you'll join me in creating cards for this special Lasting Hearts effort, and I will have information for it over on my blog. You can click here on the top left for that. I also have 3 other videos you might be interested in the middle. The first uses the same prayer set, the middle uses distress ink and water, and the last one does the same. So some other techniques that might be good for you. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.